Before we start this episode, we just wanted to let you know that Tip of the Tongue is now up on iTunes by popular request. You can find it by searching Tip of the Tongue, but that gets you a lot of other results, so if you want to find it quickly, just search Generation Animation, the name of our gracious hosts who upload it and keep the RSS feed updated for us. Or if you're anti-iTunes because you don't like crippleware on your computer, then you can download the episodes directly from fanoffmedia.com. Link in the description. Hello and welcome to Tip of the Tongue, a monthly advice podcast for voice actors, producers, and anyone else who wants to make projects on the internet. Everyone's got that passion project they've wanted to make since as far back as they can remember, and this is where we help you learn how to make it happen. I'm Jello.
And I'm William.
I am a graphic designer, illustrator, voice actor, writer, director, and producer.
And I have a face for radio. In today's episode, we'll be going over some simple acting 101 stuff, because it's never a bad time to review the basics, even if you're experienced. We'll cover the best ways to practice honing your voice, how to get into character and stay there, and some simple recording booth etiquette so you don't look like an idiot to the guys on the other side of the glass.
So, a question we've gotten a lot is, how do I become a better actor? And other than just practicing a lot, which is the boring man's response, the easiest thing to do is to go over acting basics, so yeah. I guess that's just what we'll be doing. And the first and easiest thing to tell people, the most easier said than done thing, is to get involved with real life acting if you can at voice actors. So if anywhere around you is doing community theater, if you can do any plays or improv is really good, or even just acting classes. If you're out of LA, then there's got to be 10 million of them. You should be taking one of those.
If you're in LA, there's no excuse.
Yeah, no. If you're in Chicago, there's every improv thing ever. It's the highest per capita improv place on the planet. So you want to do some of that because it's really good to practice in real life. Because as nice as it is to be able to sit in front of a booth and do your anime stuff, it's much better to make that a branch off of your core tree of really good real life actual acting, even if all you're emoting with and acting with is your voice. You want to know how to do it with your whole body. Will, do you have any theater experience whatsoever?
Actually, I don't. When I was in high school and middle school and all that, I actually did not partake in theater class, simply because I was a nervous wreck and I didn't like being in front of huge crowds of people, which is why I was thinking, voice acting might be my thing. But what I did do is, here in Minnesota, we have what's called the Guthrie Theater. It's actually a very nice establishment, and they have all sorts of great plays and things like that. They had great classes dedicated to voice acting, and it wasn't just Joe Schmo comes in and talks to you and teaches you how to record for a couple $100. It was about how many weeks was it? I think it was about 8 weeks. We would visit every Wednesday for about a 2-hour session of different practicing and all that jazz. And it was only 12 people altogether. And it was a voice actor who has been in the business doing the commercial side of things for about 25, 30 years. So he knew his stuff. And every week he would bring someone new. So one week we had an audiobook person who would then give us a small audition for different books, and we would try it out. And he'd tell us, fun. Yeah, it was really cool. It was very interesting to hear how different it is to record for an audiobook than a commercial, which in hindsight, 2020, it's very different. We then had various engineers come in and teach us, here's what kind of things you should have in your own personal studio when you get there, obviously. And then by the end of it, we had our own voice demos. So I think altogether for that entire 8-week course, and then there was an intermediate one that I took as well, which was, I think, 5 or 6 weeks. The first batch of beginning one was about, I think, $500. So really not that bad, considering it was 2 hours every Wednesday, basically one-on-one time with this guy, and really pick their brain and also make a lot of cool contacts, plus meeting other voice actors who are interested.
And even if you live out in Nowheresville, Nebraska, it is incredibly common nowadays for professional VAs and more well-off amateur ones to just have one-on-one sessions. You can just hire them for that. I was just talking to someone who did one of those with Crispin Freeman a little while ago. A bunch of them do that. But say you don't have the monies and you don't want to do that. How can you possibly practice? Well, the easy things, you could always just read a book, especially a character heavy one. and just read out loud. Like pick like 2 characters, just read them out loud. You can do the same thing with manga online, any like web comic. That's how we used to practice. We used to just sit down and like get like 5 people together and burn through a comic over the course of a couple evenings.
That's actually a lot of fun, and it is excellent.
It's
practice.
really fun. It's maybe more fun than it is practice once you have 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go into it and everyone knows, hey, this is, while we're going to have fun, this is also practice. So if I do something that sounds bad or dumb, let me know. Let me know how I can improve on that.
Mm-hmm. And like, obviously at the beginning, you can be like, hey, I'm going to be like, I know, we read through the Pokemon special manga, me, Will, Aram, and Chula, I think were our core 4. And I know Chula, for like the second major arc of that, the protagonist was a little girl disguising herself as a boy. So she was like, I'm going to practice my Shota voice, which I don't normally do. So I'm just going to voice a boy as long as I can. And I remember like thinking at first, it was just like, yeah, like that's not bad. But like now hearing it, like she's gotten way better. And we did this years ago, by the way. So she has way more experience. But like, that's the kind of thing that that can get you like an entire season of a show you're in's worth of practice if you really sit down and make it a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can also just do one thing I do. I also do this whenever I'm getting into a character or I'm like, oh, I have a session at 7 today. It's just like walk around your house and be the character for a little while. Like just talk out loud. It's very fun and easy, and you might look like a crazy person, but if you don't like looking and feeling a little bit like a crazy person, then you are a very unusual actor if you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of falls back into the whole reading manga with friends out loud. Chances are people play Pokemon, Fire Emblem, all that. There's a lot of dialogue in there that is not voiced. Why not have you do it? You can play your video game and practice voice acting and trying a bunch of different characters. And if a character comes
practice accents that like games are a great way, like just I'm a very vocal gamer, so I talk out loud whenever I'm playing stuff, even if it's really casual. I just react out loud. So like sometimes I was playing Skyward Sword and I was just like, I'm gonna do just an Indian accent for no reason, so I was just reacting to everything in an Indian accent. It was just like it wasn't even like fun or consciously practice. It was just like, all right, now I'm going to get out of the way, Moblin, etc. But like once you're into it for like, and that was very like Apu from The Simpsons. But once you do it for a couple hours, you get like really into it, and your mouth sort of gets very comfortable with this new accent that maybe you've never done before, and you get much better at it. And then it's like, how did I do that before? Okay, I kind of did that. Yeah, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real good way to practice. In the way of critique, people are always like, how do I know if I'm getting better or not? The easiest way is if you're actually booking work already, or even just recording yourself in different stuff, always listen back to your own things.
Yeah.
Especially, it's very easy if you have other people in there with you to listen, like, hey, who did really well in this and why are they doing well? Or like what could be improved on? And, obviously if it's another actor, don't go like, hey, you sucked at this line delivery, but like kind of internalize like, okay, why does that sound weird when they do it like that? Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know it right now, but like if I keep noticing this, I'll eventually like pick up that pattern and I'll know not to do that, or vice versa. Oh, wow, this thing I'm doing sounds really good here. What am I? Oh, there's like a little tremolo I'm doing with my voice there. I like that. I'm going to do that for this character from now on.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
It's very important to listen back to your old audio, because that will tell you if you're getting better or not. For example, many years ago, I think 4 or 5 now, oh God, for funsies, I recorded a few different Lackadaisy Cats pages and edited them together. And this is actually different from the one that you know of. This is actually a personal project that I just did for myself for funsies.
Oh, neat.
I have deleted those, I'm pretty sure. Listening back to them, God, I hate them. Oh, I hate them. For example, one of the voices I did for, I think his name's Asa Sweet, I did basically tomato voice, and it was really bad back then. It was not good. It was really bad.
That's a terrible thing.
Oh, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, that's so people are always like, what if I suck? Well, you will. That's life.
Yeah.
You will suck. One of my personal philosophies is, it is bad if you look back on something, you made a year ago and you have nothing to say about it in the critique field, that means you haven't improved. So if you look back on something and go, that sucks, that's good, because you know now. And like, even now I can listen back to stuff. Like, I've been doing this for, I think, 6 years. I can listen back to stuff and go, well, that's terrible, even from just a year ago. That's one of the, like, the few reasons that, despite me just, like, really seethingly hating the early episodes of Bakano Abridged when it was up, if I ever marathoned all of them in a row, it was such a ride to watch the, like, exponential growth in my acting. Like, not even like Aram, yours, or Plasters, because you guys were all, like, pretty good. But, like, boy, did I start bad. And it's really amazing watching, like, just the self-direction change as well, just, like, learning how to direct yourself, which we'll get into a little bit later, because that sort of falls into this field as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should always be able to go, like, okay, why does that read sound wooden? And even if you don't know, as long as you know there is a problem, that's a good first step.
Yes.
So do you want to go to, like, the next step, which is committing to your character?
Yeah, committing to your character is one of those things that people need to realize. One of the first things about that is you got to go whole hog.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't think about it too much and think, well, I don't want to sound stupid. I got bad news for you. Your character might be really over the top and idiotic. For example, Demon in Bakano Abridged.
You did such a good job. That might be my favorite performance from you. It is such a Will character.
Thank you. Well, I mean, that's the thing, though, is that the way he was written is a kind of my personality for the most part, of just being, he's an idiot. And I like that a lot. And that's a character I don't get to play too often. So because I had that opportunity to play a character I don't get to very often, I went all out for it. And I still actually like that one, even though it's a few years old. I still like those. There's some things that would change, but yeah.
The big thing about committing to your character, and what we mean by that, is like, all right, I'm voicing a pirate, so don't go like, arg, I am a pirate, like, yar, like, really, like, I don't want to do like all in with the yar, I'm Captain Burbity Burr, like, right away, because I'll sound stupid.
What? I don't sound stupid.
I don't even know what he's yelling at anymore.
Die, fucking seagulls.
Here is the thing that I wish I could say to every single new actor in general, but like, God, especially voice actors.
Mm-hmm.
You might think you sound stupid shouting in front of a microphone and trying to make these words on a sheet of paper come to life. So you kind of want to like back away from it a little bit. Nothing sounds stupider than when you half-ass it. That just makes you sound bad and the character not work. But if you go like all in, like, yes, I am this character right now, I am going to give it my 100%. And like, that doesn't always mean be loud and crazy. Like, maybe you're a sad and quiet character, but like really get into it as much as you can. Like, prepare as much as you can. Again, like, walk around out your house out loud for like an hour. Like, if you know the character, you know how they talk, how they sound. This is in the ideal situation where you've like voiced them before, you've seen the script, you're going to want to practice. This is also good with audition. I do this for like every single audition just because it helps a lot.
Yeah.
And on that note, people are like, well, I don't want to sound dumb, especially if I'm not in the booth alone, if I have a director with me. And again, I'm going to just rip a line out of Soul Brother Number 3's videos. Quote, would you rather sound dumb in front of one person or like 1 billion people hearing your stupid read that didn't get corrected by a director? So I keep seeing this where people are like, I don't want to like, it'll be nervous and weird if I'm in there being terrible with the director in the booth, so I'm just gonna do the email chain back and forth. I don't want to do live stuff. You have to.
You gotta.
You just have to. I'm sorry. I don't care how scared you are. You are gonna ruin that production.
Yeah.
If you do that.
The more it's just like acting and everything else. The more you do it, the more comfortable you're gonna get. The better you are gonna be at handling that anxiety. I've been there. I know that pain. It sucks, but once you push through it, it's a lot easier and it's a lot better. One other thing that you probably do this, I would wager so. To really get into a character, use your hands, use your body, even though it's just your voice. For example,
Well, that voicing Oxnard, I normally keep my hands together and kind of fiddle around because he's more of a nervous idiot kind of character.
But then when I'm doing the demon, he's all over the place. My arms are everywhere. God forbid anything's within 5 feet of me.
Yeah, oh my god, that's like half the fun is getting your body into it, which it really, really, it's the same thing as, here, fun artist fact, especially with cartoonists, when you're drawing a character face, you tend to make that face with your own face because it's hilarious. But like I do that all the time, and so does everyone else I know. Because I don't know if this is true. I'm not a science man. But if you're making if like your muscles and part of your body are doing something, that helps convince the rest of your body to really get into it. So the most fun I ever had in one recording session, definitely the most fun I've ever had in a solo recording session, was again from Bakanoa Bridge, which I should really stop referencing since it's not up publicly right now.
But it is on Patreon.
It is on Patreon, and you don't have to pay for it. It's just public. It's just there. You can download it if you want and laugh at my shame. The like quote unquote villain who just sounds like this. He's got a weird like Maurice LaMarche lisp thing going on. The first time I ever recorded him, I was actually like, I would like do a bit and then you stay in character. I'd like back up from the mic and roll around on the floor. Like that's sometimes if that's what you're feeling and like it, you know, you gotta obviously take that back if a little bit if you're in like a booth, but like still like get into it. Like even right now when I'm saying like get into it, I have these like big hands on the sides of the mic flipping back and forth because that's just how I talk. That really helps you get into a role.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you're voicing for a fighting character or anything. For example, for that one video game that we are both a part of, my character has a lot of attacks, yelling, and things like that. You think I just stood in front of my microphone with my hands in my pockets? God, no. I was flailing all over the place. I was getting really into it. And there was actually a moment where I bopped my microphone. I was like, oh, shit, okay. Yeah. That's do that. Don't hit your mic, but like get into it.
Yeah, I don't know if this is actually a good or bad thing to do, to be totally honest. More experienced audio people, leave a comment below. Whenever I am doing a character and I know I'm doing a lot of like moving my body around, I have this practice whenever I do noise removal, to get a good clip of quote unquote silence. I do inhale of breath, which is like a big spike on the audio track, so I know where it starts. Hold my breath for 15 seconds. For half of that, I'm stock still, just getting like surrounding noise that might be there. And for like the last 6 seconds of that, I will wiggle and like wiggle in place, shimmy. No, seriously, get all my like any clothing noise I have there. You should always wear like nice, not jangly, not clothing when you go into a booth, by the way.
No jewelry.
No jewelry, no necklaces, no like big flappy pants or shirts. And then I also like, if I recognized I was doing emotion a lot, like, sometimes if I'm playing a really like a character that is very like a director, like a prison warden or something like that, I'm often like doing this, like pointing forward with one of my hands. So I'll repeat that action just so it doesn't like bleed into my stuff. And then I will use that in the noise removal. So yeah, I always do total silence for 10, 15 seconds and then to end it, and that's always just the last thing I do.
Huh, interesting.
It's easy to see.
I'd actually be curious about that as well.
One more thing on committing to your character. In another way, in that you have to commit to being the character, don't be afraid to shout.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad because in this show, I always use examples of high energy, blig, blah, blue characters. Even though sometimes committing, like, you got to commit in both directions, even if it's quiet. But if you're shouting, it is the quickest way you can make me go amateur, just like out loud watching a dub, is if you do not do a shout all the way. Like, oh my god, it sounds so bad.
Did you guys see my voice demo from last episode where I have my dying scream? That's a bad death. That's so happens. That's bad. You can tell I'm not trying. That's super bad.
That was another thing we were going to cover really briefly was people asked, like, how do you do the like this, that, and the other thing acting-wise? So we got a lot of requests for tips on crying, act laughing, and death, all of which are very common. Yes. Crying the least so, but death and laughter you'll do a lot. Mm-hmm. I die a lot in front of a microphone, come to think of it.
You know, considering how many bad guys I play, I've not had to die too often. I must be good at what I do.
My big ass bag of money.
Oh, a reference like 6 people will get. Cool.
I don't care. Name that thing Whittles in. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Twitch.tv/warplamp.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da. So, yeah, but like you should always shout because there's such a difference and people can't really hear it until it's been pointed out to them. Like just the average on the street Joe will not be able to hear it. But there's such a world of difference between and
Jello, are you okay?
I'm fine, Will. Thanks, man. You're my rock.
Oh, wow, great.
You're my rock that I just stubbed my toe on.
Oh, my bad.
Like, that's the difference between a guy just opening his mouth and exhaling and a guy getting stabbed to death. And that extends to, like, any emotion, too. So any sadness or anger, really go all in. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you need to go, like, 100% as loud as you can, yelling or crying all the time. But, like, if you need to be sad, don't go, like, 20%. Go 100% to where you need to. So if it's, like, just a really, like, a very sad moment, but not, like, you know, my family just died in front of me, then get there. But if it is my family just died in front of me, really, really do it. Because it's so much easier, especially as a director, but as an actor too, it's so much easier to go too far and reel it back than to keep inching closer and closer to the thing you should be doing.
I don't know if you want to like have, here's an example from media that you can learn from. For crying, in the first, I think 30 minutes of The Last of Us, holy shit, Troy Baker crushes it. It is heartbreaking. He's so good, so good. If you want like to get an idea of how do I make someone feel sad in the first 20 minutes, even though I know nothing about this character, watch that. Super good.
Just in general, a good way to improve your acting is to watch or listen to other actors, especially live action. Like really look and see, you know what, like we're talking about this. Why don't we just do the like how to do common but hard stuff right now? Because you brought it up.
Sure.
So crying, for me, crying is actually the most difficult thing about crying for me is that crying is actually very similar to laugh sounds in certain situations. Like sometimes you can't tell which is which. But like if really what I do at least is, you know, I'll watch things and listen to things. And, you know, you watch a live action actor, you see what happens to their face, you like imagine that. Also, like, really imagining yourself in the character's shoes, like, sort of trying to close your eyes, stop seeing a booth, start seeing, like, you know, the cemetery or wherever you are right now, as in that character's shoes. That always helps. I know that's easier for some people than others.
I think crying is the hardest because there's such a fine line between, whoa, man, that gets me, and wow.
Yeah, it does go. That is one where it does go into hammy pretty quickly if you go too far or too little. It's a very special little bar you gotta hit.
Yeah, it's not easy. That's why I'm glad I play villains who just die and laugh.
I think one of the easiest ways is, this is something I do if I haven't been given the whole script, like for an audition or something, or just like maybe the director wasn't on their game and he or she wasn't available for, you know, direction. And they're like, hey, like this, like I voice Zach in Afma's My Street series, which is that Minecraft sitcom thing. And most of the stuff my character's been involved with so far has been very serious. I have been given zero lowdown. And so I don't just go, all right, I don't know what I'm doing here, so like whatever, I guess I'm Zach. You know, you get good at reading context after a while, but like, oh, I'll look at these lines and go, okay, there's a few ways this can go. Either so it's like something ominous is happening with this character. So either I'm the bad guy in this situation and I've been wronged and I'm like, this is my heroic, I'm getting back at you for betraying me. Or this is I'm the bad guy and I'm threatening your family moment. And I can't tell which. So I'm going to do a take of both. But in both cases, I thought of like, what are the scenes that led up to this beforehand? Like, for one I did for that was like, there's basically a line that says like, I was put away for a long time thanks to you, something like that. Like he was in jail and he escaped. And I added for one of the takes, just like, it's been so long since I've seen my wife and daughter, you piece of shit, just to like get into character. And I imagine this character just sitting in jail, like, oh, I miss my wife and daughter so much. And I've learned that is not at all what that character was about. Like, even maybe the opposite of what he's about, to be honest. But the fact that I had that build up in mind made it so much easier to give a convincing read. Even if it was like a slightly different situation. Stage crying is so much harder than VA crying.
Oh God, yeah.
That I'll be honest, I can't do that. I can't like tear up, because anytime I tear up, my body goes, you don't cry very much, and the way you tear up a lot is you yawn. So I just start yawning. One of the things I think of if I have to like cry is, what does it feel like when you cry? For me at least, I don't know if this is universal. The area above my soft palate like tenses up, like your eyes squint a little bit. You have a harder time catching your breath between lines. For me, how you do it is you really like feel it physically inside you. This is why I brought up that cartoon drawing your face thing before, because it's like, all right, this part of my body gets sad. This is what happens to my face when I get sad. Okay, yeah, I can kind of feel that. Like I've cried once or twice. I'm a cry expert. I know what this feels like. This reminds me of it. You might even get like a couple tears out there. Your voice will crack a little bit. Even if you have to fake that stuff, it sounds good. That's the benefit of doing it through a microphone.
Yeah, because, I mean, the animator's going to take care of the rest. Well, that's off your plate. Hey, man, what's going on?
Buddy, you're not going to believe this. We're out of soda. We're out of soda. I don't know where it went, and I opened the fridge, and there was soda, and now I guess some wizard just got rid of it, and now we don't have any. So sometimes when you're crying, you can't. Most of the time, you can control, like, your voice is kind of normal. It's in a middle range, but sometimes it gets like here a little bit, and like just for like a second where it's a little bubbly, and because there's the full context of the line, they'll understand it. But when you're actually just doing it like add a little bit of, like, it's super annoying. But like if you add a little bit of that, like like that happens just because your mouth is so scrunched up, and that's the way air comes out. So maybe while that didn't sound great, hopefully it worked a little bit as like a good jumping off point. I would say watch a lot, like live action is the best thing to watch. Like, wow, they're sad. It's strange. I find it really hard to just be sad, like 0 to 100 sad. I find it really easy in the moment. Like if you've got the scene leading up to it.
Yeah, because that's one of those things that you gotta build up to that. Mm-hmm.
But next up on the hard things is laughing. Laughing is easy. I know a couple people, like Plaster can't fake laugh. She has a hard.
That's weird to me.
It is. So something I heard once is that it becomes very easy to do an impression of someone once you know how to impersonate their laugh. That is the first thing you should learn. I don't know why that is, but I've actually tried it, and it really feels like it's true. Doing a laugh is pretty easy because all a laugh is like a sudden burst of air from your diaphragm in a weird way. There's a couple different levels of laughter. There's like the chuckle at the beginning and end of your sentence, which is just like yeah, I don't want to see you here again, all right?
Fine. I'll go.
All right. It's barely perceptible there. That's like a heh at the like he at the beginning and end of your sentence. But if you like just smile and really believe like, yeah, whatever I'm saying right now, it's goddamn hysterical. This is so stupid. I guess I'll relate this. So sometimes when I need to laugh at something, especially if someone else is reading a line at me, I will remember something stupid or funny that at least makes me smile, if not laugh. And maybe you've got a joke or otherwise, or like something that works there. But the thing I always remember, I use this for smiling in pictures. This is the stupidest example because I came up with this in like 6th grade. There was this like drawing a friend of mine made of a paperclip with big beefy arms. and we came up with this song called "We Are the Manly Paperclips," and I just imagine that playing in my head because it's pure in a weird way, so it can be like any kind of stupid laugh or smile, like dirty or clean, but it's such a good, just like that's so fucking stupid, like, you know, and it gets my lungs in the right place and my cheeks in the right place to smile, and that really helps. Just like bursting out and doing any kind of laugh.
Hey, you goofy bastard, what's going on?
What? You are not gonna believe this. We're out of soda.
We may be out of soda, but you're out of time.
It's weird because like nothing about what I said is funny at all.
No,
but like not even a little.
But you actually got me to
Yeah,
chuckle
I
with that
know.
laugh
It's
at
that
the
I
end.
felt that was where I was like, okay, this is working a little bit. This is something you're gonna have to practice. And
Yes.
I've weirdly, what's helped me with this is I've actually done a ton of like tabletop stuff with you guys where either I am laughing a lot or characters need to laugh, so you need to be able to like fake it very quickly.
Yes.
But once you have words, just like try doing the stuff where it's just like, you're not gonna believe like that natural sort of turns into wheezing because you can't handle it. That's the thing. You can be like, all right, I'll throw that in there. Maybe like, you know, change it from like we're out of soda to maybe add like with like W-W, we're out of soda. It's just like we're out of soda. Like, so that helps me mentally changing punctuation sometimes, trying different stuff. So laughing is pretty easy in that regard. All right, and then the last thing, which is the easy one and the fun one, is dying. So, dying comes in many flavors. You might be burning alive. You might be getting thrown into a pit. Or you might be being stabbed. You might just be slowly dying of tuberculosis on a bed somewhere. It's just...
You might have been impaled in the throat. I mean, like, so you got to get that gurgle action going. I do recall Travis Willingham mentioning, if you're ever curious about what it's like to be Soldier A, there's a couple pages of, you know, yelling out orders and things, but the last 3 pages are every way you can die in this game. And it is awful, the shit I have to do.
Yeah.
On fire, hit with acid. On fire, but the acid puts the fire out. He's like, that's shit I had to do. Getting shot in the head. That's a really easy one. Done. So
Death Sounds, a lot of it is learning how to do the, like, I like to call these the standard anime reaction sounds, because you'll be adding a lot of that sort of like impact grunt stuff in there. So like the like the Link noises, you know. So like I've just been stabbed right through the chest. I'm going.
it's my podcast now.
Yeah. You son of a bitch. You were my rock.
You were my rock until we were out of soda.
I for some reason I just pictured after you said that the like James Bond banana. It's like you turn away and put on sunglasses.
You explode.
I got impaled by a pipe bomb. It happens.
Puts on sunglasses, mumbles out.
Yeah, but like dying is easy. It's just you've been weakened in one way or another. Sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes you're just sort of like out of energy and you need to maybe breathe a little more in between your lines so that it really feels like it's forced. Unfortunately, dying and crying sometimes go hand in hand. It's a lot of like lung exercise and mouth exercise.
Yeah. Dying and crying fucking sucks.
It's pretty tough.
It's hard.
Yeah, dying is super easy over a microphone. It is way harder when they can see you.
Yeah. And once again, this all falls back to go whole hog. Don't hold anything back, because if you half-ass your death... Now this big moment, the last time your character's on screen, unless it turns out you were a clone and there's another of you or some other dumb bullshit of you coming back, that is the last time you're on screen. Everyone's gonna go, Oh. Oh, wow. Is that really how that's how he goes? Oh.
All right.
All
I guess that's it.
Bye, I guess. Nice to see you're gone.
We've mentioned a couple times the warming up beforehand of like walking around your house and saying things in the character voice. So like, you know, if you gotta play a seedy, shitty guy, then maybe just be like, hey man, can you pass me the milk? But like, even if you're going too far and doing that nonsense. And by the way, I was like hunched over doing a weird thing with my neck while I did that. So again, getting into it, because it's just more fun that way, for one thing. But even if you do that, even if you go too far in the wrong direction, you're still kind of warmed up and in the right headspace to not be you for a little while.
Yeah.
You should always warm up beforehand. I usually mean that in the acting sense. Sometimes you can also, if you're like really rigorous about it, you can do some vocal exercises, maybe some, I've heard from a lot of other actors, they do music stuff, though in fairness, I think most of those guys are like music oriented as well. They're the kind of people who do like dubs of, you know, like covers of anime outros and intros while also being a voice actor. So it's probably more natural to them. If you're just singing like a music scale or whatever up and down, or doing like the many mumbling mice are making merry music in the moonlight, mighty nice, up and down a scale. That's a good way to do it. You can also do articulation exercises.
Yes.
Which many mumbling mice is one of those, but stuff like the mantras like to sit in solemn silence on a dull dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short sharp shock from a cheap and chippy chopper on a big black block.
Oh, we're not doing okay.
Big black block. That is something there. There's something that like just become a really lame rapper doing theater mantras. So if you're listening back to your stuff, make sure you're not slurring words, make sure you're articulate, because there's some actors I know who like just maybe no one's told them. Like I've known them for years, and like they still kind of like slur their words a little bit. You can't do that. Like listen to your voice, be like, that's a problem for me when I do this. Even if you got like a speech impediment or something, that stuff can be improved upon. Maybe not fixed, but it can be improved upon. Even if you got to fake it for a little while in the booth.
Yes.
Articulation is super important, especially from a sound mixer's end. You can't do anything if you're slurring the words together. I can't splice that take together. That one is just useless if it's bad.
Yeah. When you're recording a lot of clients, if they have good articulation, oh my God.
It's real nice.
It's so nice.
This works for both characters and accents. This is something I do a lot, and I know a lot of other people do, is having a key phrase or word that triggers that voice for you or that character. So when I'm Pit, which is a hard voice to get into and a harder voice to stay into for Zelda Universe's Hades Misguidance series, the thing I say to get into that character is, I don't know about that, Lady Palutena. So I will just say that sometimes in between lines to make sure I'm still doing the right voice. That and it's Donkey Kong is like another thing he says in a really weird, specific way. There were other ones for like, Bacano Abridged for like, Vero Prochinezo, who now I can just go right into because I'm so used to voicing him. He used to, like, I used to have trouble with that. So when I wanted to start that, I would read a line from his original VA, Todd Habercorn, which was, you know, you look kind of creepy when you make that face, Gramps, just because it stood out to me. And it was like, I like the musicality of it. This also works for accents. So when I was learning, like, Southern accent back in my high school days, like deep, dirty, gross Southern accent, like the kind you'd see in like a really bad like Harold and Kumar gonna get felt up by a hillbilly type movie, like like gross, like big old trucker hat, exposed belly button, that kind of thing. I had a gross little phrase that I used to say because it disgusted. I said it once just improvising, and it disgusted one of my fellow actresses. And
you're my friend, Will.
You're my friend, Will. And she just ran and cried for days. Now, the phrase was, you just take your middle finger and stick it in your belly button like a naked mole rat looking for his mama. And it was like, it was super gross, but it was really memorable. And it always helped me get in that like bleh voice.
Why is this the first time I'm hearing about this?
Why would I ever tell this to anyone without it specifically being brought up?
I don't know. This. Oh God.
My favorite example is I can't do a Scottish accent especially well, but if I have to do one, always the thing I say to get into it is, if you had the chance to change your fate, would you? Because that gets your mouth ready. You feel how it sounds when your accent works that way, because you get two of the Scottish-isms of fate, where instead of like an A, it's like an A-E-T. It's like fate, and then the would you instead of would you. Would you? So that's always fun if you want to be like Night Yagami.
Oh God, another reference no one's.
It doesn't matter. Just cut all my dialogue out, Will. But keep the silences. So it's just. That's right, Aaron.
All right, well, you heard him. Cut out all his dialogue.
Do you have any of those? Like, I know for Oxnard, you just go bleh, bleh, over and over again.
Yeah, for Oxnard, it's just bleh, bleh.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I do chicken guzzler, it's just gonna clear my throat a lot.
And I got to make sure that like my jaw is like on one side.
Yeah.
Because the gingivitis.
Yeah, there's like, for different voices and different, mostly just different voices, but especially different accents, your mouth moves in different ways than it normally would. At least usually. It's almost never like change in airflow that changes your voice. At least not exclusively. It just gets you ready. That's a good way to get into a character, is to have that trigger phrase. And if you have that at the ready, even if you gotta like do it in between every couple lines or so with the first few times you're doing the character, the director might be like tapping their thumbs if it's taken a little while, like just a little while. You don't want to do this a million times. But if that's what keeps you acting well, that's gonna be what they want from you.
Yeah, and I mean that's why for a lot of my voices, I do my best to, if I need to have something to help me get into it, I do my best to make sure it's like really quick. It doesn't take a lot of time, and I can get into the role. Like, what is it? Eugene Verga. I just do that. That's for Eugene Verga.
That's a good one. Is just saying the character's name really enthusiastically in their own voice, like Lad Rousseau, have some fun with it, why don't you? Blah! Like that. Like you get into it real quick. So that's a good way to do it. Usually you get to you sort of learn how to just pop right into it after that, go from 0 to 100 very quick. But that's a good way to start. And I mentioned my pit voice earlier. You might have trouble staying in a voice once you have that, even if you've got that. Like Pit's a special case because I'm impersonating another actor for that one, which is very difficult. So for that, and this is what I have to do because I record on my own. For that series, is I will open up a video of the actual VA and just listen to them over and over again if I think I'm losing the voice, just because that's what gets the best performance out of me, which is always what you should do.
Yeah, whatever it takes, get you there.
Yeah. I mentioned getting good at, like, going from 0 to 100, changing your voice. That is something you should really practice, especially if I know a lot of people listening to this probably want to, or maybe even have dubbed some anime in the past. That is if you ever do ADR, you are really gonna need to get good at going from like, yep, I'm ready, beep, 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 I'm fully in the voice, like just immediately, because you don't get warm up time there. You just got to do it. ADR is really difficult.
Well, it's not only that, but especially with anime, for example, you might be doing different episodes and stuff like that. So maybe the last time your character's seen is this, oh, hey, how's it going? He's plucky and happy. And then the very next scene is, everybody's dead. It's like, shit, okay. Well,
wow, damn, yeah, okay.
Now.
Yeah. Another thing that keeps you in character, if it's been a while since you've done a voice, you should listen back to, do some like homework before the session. Listen back to your previous recordings and hear what is good and what isn't. Maybe make improvements, but you really want the voice to be consistent if possible, in a good way.
Yes. Yeah. I know I had to do that for that video game that we both did.
Oh yeah,
it had been a while.
Anytime we get an audition and it like there's like a significant wait period, I always have to like dig it up in the email and be like, what the hell did I sound like? Okay. And like it's great because sometimes the casting director will be like, all right, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, I kind of don't remember what this voice sounds like. Me neither. I cast this 2 months ago. Let's go listen to it. So this is just a tip my favorite actual stage director I've ever worked with told me. He had this philosophy: only one person in a play is an actor, everyone else is a reactor. So you always want to be picturing yourself as a character reacting to what is going on around them. That seems pretty obvious, but maybe you hadn't thought of it that way and it could trigger something and help you. Obviously everyone who starts a scene is also the quote unquote actor versus the reactor. But
Yeah.
know what makes gets the best performance out of you as an actor. Like, really think about it after a session. Like, that was worse than my usual ones. What do we do differently that didn't really jive with my style? So for me personally, I always prefer to be read into lines. I love it if I ever get a chance to record with the person I'm in a scene opposite with, because that's like, that's great. I actually get to just go back and forth and really do it. That's so much easier than just reading it off a piece of paper.
Yes, it is. Holy crap.
So, like, if I'm with the director, I will go, hey, can you read me into every line before we do it? And if you want to keep moving on, just read the next line, and I will keep going. Otherwise, stop me, etc. That's like my ideal. So if you have any like little things like that, and you know it's a private session or something, then feel free to ask them, because that will get the best performance out of you, and that's what both of you want in the end. Though if you are in the boot, it's like, hey, we're doing a anime dub. All right, so standard ADR stuff. Hey, can I like sing a little song while the beeps are going down every time? No, you shouldn't, because that will give us more work. Obviously, don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But I try as a director always to ask, like, hey, do you want me to read you into this? What do you want me to do? And everyone's different. Every director, director and actor, they're all different in how they work in the booth, and that's the hardest part of being a director, is figuring out how that is. So you also have that job for yourself as an actor. Figure out what you're good at. One other thing, people always, I think we touched this a little bit. A couple of people messaged me with like, what if I have stage fright? For voice acting, you literally never should. I don't think.
I understand nervousness, especially if it's your first time, you got a really cool gig and you don't want to, lose it or anything like that. I understand the nervousness, but you gotta push through it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. And the biggest thing about stage fright is that's with hundreds, sometimes even thousands of people watching you live do it. And chances are you get one shot at that scene. So I understand that. With voice acting, you're going to have at maximum like 1 to maybe 5 other people there. And that 5 is the absolute extreme.
5 would be a
ludicrous.
lot
We got
of
the writer
cooks in a kitchen.
Yeah, and I've talked to some voiceover folks who are like, yeah, we had the writer, the director, the co-writer,
Like, yeah,
the
if
engineer.
you're voicing in like a Disney movie, you will have the directors, actors, composer, all that stuff in there with you. But like, that's probably not gonna happen. You'll have like 2 on average.
Yeah, engineer and director. That's all you're most likely going to have. So yeah, if you look dumb in front of those 2, it sucks. But chances are the worst thing they're going to say to you is go, let's try that again.
Yeah. Like,
They're not going to go, what the hell was that? What do you even do? What are you doing here? They're not going to do that.
and like stage fright's a weird thing, because I haven't done theater in like actually 5 years, but before that I did it for I think 6 years, and then after that I did improv for the next 5 years, and even like now, whenever I'm about to run out on stage, I almost always have like the scary butterfly, what if this doesn't go as well as it could reaction.
Mhm.
It's easier said than done, but really just fucking ignore it. Like, so that, I mean, really, isn't that all you can do?
It really is. And so from this perspective of someone who actually gets nervous pretty easily, yeah, that first couple minutes sucks. Oh, it's so bad. But once you start to get momentum, you don't even think about it. And in fact, you're going to have fun. So just push through those first few minutes and you're going to be fine. Just don't think about it.
Also, if this helps me with like stress in general, if I've got a project, really think about the literal worst case scenario that can happen, because it's never that bad. It's so like, seriously, it's always like,
No, yeah.
so if if it's like, oh, I have to get this project done by next Friday, and I'm really freaking out about it to the point it's like hurting my sleep, like I'm dreaming and having stress dreams about it, I'll just like lay down and go, well, if I don't get this out, then it won't be out, and I have a deadline that I set for myself, so there's no punishment there. I mean, it's lame. I will have to push back everything else for a week. But, like, that's really it. And then in, like, just go grander and grander. Like, and then in the grand scheme of my life, in like a month, am I gonna even remember this? No. All right. Here,
Yeah.
whatever.
No, that's exactly it. Is a lot of
So
times.
what I'm saying is become a nihilist.
Yeah. Yeah. Just give up.
Give up. The last major subject we're going to talk about before questions is booth etiquette. Did you want to mostly take this one?
Yeah. So with my line of work, I do a lot of, it's not voice acting, but I am recording a lot of clients, whether they be professionals or just randies. One thing that means so much to me, show up early and just read over your script a bit, kind of get a feel for it. If you can get your script early from the director and all that, do it. Oh my God, it is so helpful. Even if it's only 15 minutes before, it helps you so much to kind of read ahead and kind of get a feel for the flow of the character and the lines themselves. And it makes the recording a lot easier and smoother. And showing up early really helps your director person just be like, oh wow, they're already here. Great. Oh well, you know what? Screw it. We got, yeah, come on in. Why not? You're already here.
They might even want to chat with you, and that's nice.
That's true. They might want to chat with you and say, hey, just as a heads up, these sorts of things have changed, and we were hoping to maybe try this sort of a thing. I don't know. But definitely show up early. The worst thing that'll happen is you have to wait. And if you have your script, that's a great opportunity to read it.
Mm-hmm.
So take advantage of that.
Yeah. On that note, for non-in-person recordings, if you are saying you are going to record at 7 with somebody, be 100% ready before 7.
Yes.
And if you're going to be late for whatever reason, message them. Because there should never be a point where it's like, yeah, I can show up at 7. I've had this happen before with actors where it's like, sorry, work ran long or whatever, or like I just couldn't show up or whatever. I'm like, hey, you should always have told me beforehand. Like the moment, like this might even be a possibility of a conflict, so I'm not sitting there for an hour or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But also, never schedule anything that's like if your work ends at 7:30 and you are like, yeah, I'll be there, I'll be home by 8. You don't know what traffic's gonna be like. Don't even give it a chance that it won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because that looks so dumb, and it is entirely on you at that point.
Yeah. I do my best to make sure that if I'm scheduling a recording with someone and I have work that day, I make sure that at least 2 hours between the end of work and recording, just to make sure. I don't know. I might have car trouble for all I know. Maybe there's an emergency at work. Whatever. At least I've got that buffer room. And obviously, there's things that are beyond your control, that you can't inform them.
Family emergency, health problems, stuff like that. But yeah, if you can, if you even can just email them through your phone or whatever, do something. That's all.
Yes.
Because then you can be like, well, I messaged you here, and even if they're still pissed, that is a world and a half better than I just didn't mention it. Sorry.
Yeah.
So speaking things to do before you show up to a recording session, you should it's good to practice, as we mentioned, but there are things you should and shouldn't eat right beforehand. Dairy and soda are the worst 2 things, especially dairy.
Dairy's real bad. It'll gunk you up good.
There are audible differences where I'll be like, I'll record a retake of something today for whatever, and I'll plug it in, and I'll have I forget I drank a glass of milk 2 hours early. I'm like, why does this sound so bad? Soda and bubble stuff is also really bad because it scratches is too wrong a word, but it actually rasps your throat a little bit because of the carbon dioxide. It's also sugar, which is bad.
Yeah.
The things if you're going to be at the studio for a long time, the snacks you want, the genres of snacks are obviously water and tea. Though preferably not caffeinated tea, because again, caffeine muscle contractions not great for you. Water, nice non-caffeinated tea, stuff like celery sticks, green apples, mostly fruits and vegetables are nothing mushy. Don't eat anything mushy before you go voice something.
And to be perfectly frank, a lot of this you shouldn't even be bringing to the studio anyways. Water's fine, whatever. Make sure it's got a cap on it and whatnot. But, maybe don't walk in with a bag full of carrots.
I think if you if you're going in for like a 3-minute session or whatever, like it's okay if you're like walking into a building and you like leave it outside with your bag and keys and stuff.
Yeah,
But, like,
that's fine.
I mean,
but
never
I mean,
bring it into
don't-
the booth.
That's more what I mean.
Okay.
Because then the director is thinking, dude, you're recording 3 lines. Why do you? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's a good idea though if you're like going to be there for a 4-hour block, which is not uncommon,
Yes.
and you want like a break, just grab some carrot sticks.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's totally fine. But
So other stuff, we're like kind of just working with your director. This is more of something it's more of an art than a science. You'll get a handle on this the longer you do this. But I mentioned earlier everyone has different ways of working. So the two big categories I see a lot as a director are like, call them like music and intonation people and example simile people. So say someone's not reading a line quite correctly, and they'll be like, it'll be a question, it'll be like, yeah man, I'd love to go over there. It's like, why are you don't inflect up at the end. And if they hear like inflect up, they'll be like, oh okay, I won't inflect up. So I'll just like, hey man, like want to go over there? Like it's like, that's a little better. Can you go down? Hey man, want to go over there? Like, so it goes down instead. And like some people just get that. That does not click for other people. I don't know why, like mimicking pitch and tone shifts is not something everyone can do. So sometimes, if it's been like 10 takes, I'll be like, you're not hitting this the way I want you to, especially if I've written something and I have a specific way it should be read in my head. I'll just like say the line out loud, be like, here, this is just how I want it read. If you can try this. And like sometimes people will be able to perfectly mimic that. Like Aram and Chula can totally do that. They can just mimic whatever. Plaster can do that. Some people just cannot, like Keen cannot. Keen's not an intonation person.
Oh really?
Yeah. Actually, most people I work with are not intonation people. That's a little less common than I would like it to be. The other kind is like example simile people. I am more one of these, to be honest, though I can mimic intonation. If you're like, hey man, can you go over there? I don't know why all our examples always start with hey man. Hey man, can you go over there? Say it more like you're a cop who's fed up with talking to a criminal. Oh, okay. Hey man, can you go over there? Like you've been talking for a while. Hey man, can you go over there? Like that's a quicker thing for me than, hey, can you pitch down your voice and say it a little more angry? So for me, examples and similes are way quicker. But for other people, I don't know why. If you go, hit it with these beats, ding, 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 like that's faster. So learning which one you are and being like, can you express your direction through this way when you've reached an impasse and you can't quite get something to click for you? That's important.
Yeah. There's a lot of times where you just got to give the director that, because they might be really stuck in their ways of only giving examples, and you might need that intonation, So let them know, because then they'll go, oh, okay, if that helps you get into your zone or it helps convey what I'm trying to get you to express, then sure, what the hell, why not? I only have to do this method of directing for the hour or two you're here, so why not? Yeah, let's make this happen.
So another thing about like interacting with your director, if you're not happy with your takes, even though they think it's time to move on, it's usually okay to ask to like, hey, take. Okay, that's good. Next line. Do you mind if I do one more, like such and such way? Oh yeah, okay, go for it. Usually that's fine. Even in like a quicker scenario, though, you shouldn't be doing that every time. But like it's usually, especially in amateur settings, it's almost always okay to be like, hey, can I try it this way? And if that's not what the director's looking for, they'll be like, all right, well, whatever, we'll be moving on. But 1 in 10 times you'll hit that rare, like, wow, okay, that's way better. Let's do it that way.
Maybe not ask to do another take if, for example, you've just been struggling on this line and the director's just like, okay, we got it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's just go. Because I know I've been there more than once. Where I try to get something out of someone and then eventually I just go, that's just the best. I
got it. We got to keep
cannot
moving
take
on.
more time.
Yeah, that's more a like take. Okay, good. Oh, I actually wanted to try one where I'm like frustrated. Okay, all right. Can I do one this way? Like it's more like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. If you're recording solo, I find for me that one of the like things that took the longest was learning how to direct myself. That's really hard as an actor, which is why live directions are great and you should do them. You should never be afraid to do retakes. If like it's hard to direct yourself, because I think the best way to do it, honestly, is to not be a director at all and just completely focus on acting as a character. And just like forget that you are making this project. Just be like, I am this character right now, as though someone else is directing it. That helps me, because unless I'm in the full acting flow, I usually have problems, and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't say it with that right like emphasis. I feel like this could be better, and that's always bad. Because then I'm thinking about like, I should be talking like this and these specific beats, instead of I'm a character talking like a character. But that being said, never be afraid to go back and do retakes if you realize something is wrong. Because, you know, it's always best to take the extra time and make your project that much better.
Yeah, it is always worth it to just give it that extra 5-10 minutes. Just do it.
Another thing, if you have a question about your character, you should ask.
Yes, holy crap. Anytime there might be a time where you go into a scene and just think, why did this happen? Why is my character this mad? I have to have a good understanding. Why is he so pissed right now? Oh, well, this and this happened. Oh, that helps me a lot. That really helps me visualize just how frustrated they are and why they're frustrated with this character in particular. Ask those questions.
And so, like, are they pissed at the character, or are they pissed like kind of at themselves because it's a little their fault? Oh, right. Like, actually, they're a little more pissed at themselves. Okay, thanks. That makes this easier for me to deliver it that way. All right, got it. It's like that. Like that's all it's so quick, and it's always better.
Yeah. Directors will actually appreciate questions so long as there's not too many.
One of the other things is take criticism well. So we get a lot of this. This is a little more of a bookends back to the how do I become a better actor. It's really hard to critique an actor because that is such a personal thing. It's not like here's something you made. It's just like this is just your skill at this.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hard to like not be blunt about it. Take criticism well, especially if you ask for it, because like no one's trying to be mean; they're trying to help you improve. And on that note, I didn't write it down, but someone asked me a couple times. They're like, "Hey, if I didn't get a part from an audition, is it appropriate to ask for feedback?" I say no.
No, God no. If you don't get a part, you didn't get the part. End of discussion. It's over. Just walk away. Do something else.
Yeah, if you want feedback, ask a fellow actor. Maybe ask like
yes.
You can maybe ask the director after the project's done, like, hey, like thanks for allowing me in your project. I liked working with you. Can you tell me like in the future what would be good that you'd want to see from me if we work together again to make the process better, or what could I have done better as this character? And like, not everyone's great at giving feedback because it's pretty hard, especially again with acting. I also want to say that might be something you'd want to ask through text, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
I mostly because I think it's easier to list anything and also be like, yeah, give me a minute, I'll watch this and listen to it instead of just like, oh yeah, no, you did good. Like, it's really hard offhand to, even if you have some like a glaring flaw, like, you just don't have that much conviction in your voice. Like, that's kind of a big brick to drop.
Yeah, and it's also really awkward if you go, "Hey, so is there anything that I can improve on?" Oh,
yeah.
It's like bumping into someone from school. That's what you're doing. You're putting them in that situation. Don't do that to them. Just text them and go, "Hey, man, when you get a moment, is there anything you suggest?" Like, no rush.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
And then one more piece of very important studio etiquette.
Don't touch the microphone. Holy crap, don't do it. I get so many people who just walk in like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, no, you have zero clue what you're doing. You have no idea. I've had people that walk in and they're 5 feet from the microphone, and yet they're the ones that are touching it. No, you clearly don't know how this thing operates. Do not touch this. It is. When I went to the voice acting classes at the Guthrie, and we were recording our fun little voice demo. It was super nice. Anyways, the engineer came to the studio and he went to me.
So, you want to know how you can be my best friend right now?
Sure. I would love the tip.
Don't fucking touch this microphone ever at all.
Oh. What if I need to do a loud line?
I will literally
walk around this building to move this an inch to the left, so long as you don't touch it. Oh, okay. Yeah, done. Just don't touch it ever. Even if you're like, oh, this is the R20, huh? I've got one of these at home. No, doesn't matter. It's not yours. It's just like saying, oh, you've got a Hyundai Sonata? Yeah, I'll drive that, whatever. No, it's not yours.
How much does
don't
that type
touch
of
it.
microphone usually cost, Will? And that's why you shouldn't touch it.
Let's see here. Well, the mic I've got in front of me is like $600, $800 probably. The microphone that we were recording at in that booth, and after he explained it to me, I was like, oh, I understand why now. It was like $2,000. I was thinking, that's why you don't want me to touch this. Done and done.
Yup.
Just don't do it. Don't touch it ever.
So before we get to the questions, one more thing. Like, a ton of people asked, it's like, hey, what's something you'd like to know about acting? And people asked, how do you get good at improv? You take improv classes, period. That's the way. There is one way, and it's that. Improv is just like this is really hard. I was an improv coach. I'm trying to think of the fastest way I can just sum this down. Improv is, I guess for anyone who doesn't know, is the ability to ad-lib or come up with things on the spot, come up with lines. It's like, the quickest way to describe it is basically making connections very quickly. That's like the skill your brain needs to be good at. Most actors I know have the basics of being an improviser and vice versa. I'm not sure why that is. It's very much the same part of your brain and skill set. That does not necessarily mean anyone who is good at one will inherently be good at the other. Improv is more freeform. It's more about making connections. It's more about a sense of comedic timing than being good at portraying a character. Though it's also important to be able to portray a bunch of characters as fast as possible. Weirdly, I would say one of the best ways to practice improv if you don't want to do a class, which is stupid, you should. So, like, if you want to get good at improv, you just have to do that. Theater won't even teach you, by the way. Just regular acting and theater stuff, you will get like 0.2% improv experience. It's like nothing. One of the best ways to do it is actually tabletop stuff and RP practice.
Yep.
It's like weirdly good.
So just some other, so let's say by chance you don't want to take improv classes, and I would suggest it, and honestly I wish I had. Some of the things that you can do on a budget and with your buddies, which would also maybe help you with improv, is being with a more comfortable group, and then you can expand from there. Dungeons and Dragons and anything like that, especially if you're a DM, you are switching between characters nonstop. You need to adjust to the fact, oh, the characters have dynamite now. I guess I have to be ready for that shit to just blow off at any moment. Another great thing that you can try is a game called Fiasco. Fiasco is all about making a movie for a moment. So there are like 4 to 5 people, and then depending on where you're seated at the table, you have a connection with each person. So you say, well, in this session, Jello, you're going to be my ex-girlfriend who's trying to get back at me. And then we have an object, and it turns out, in our relationship that we have to put in this movie that we're making together, there's a revolver for whatever reason. So now we have to build on these characters and bounce off of everyone else in the scenes, but also remember key parts of the story and like locations and things. So that's pretty improv heavy. Another great example is Snake Oil. That
Oil
game
is really good.
So good. It's so fun. It really keeps in like it's a little slower improv too. So maybe that's a really great place to start.
So, how Snake Oil works is it's I think it's made by the Cards Against Humanity people, I think.
Yes.
It works in a kind of a similar fashion where instead of a card czar, one person every turn is the client, and they'll get a client card that's like, you are a pirate or a businessman or a sorority girl or Santa Claus. And everyone else has a series of word cards, 6 word cards in their hands. They have to pick 2 of them, so it could be like toilet, robot, like rainbow, gun, that sort of thing. And you have to push them together. You can pick any 2, and you have to make a wonder product out of that and pitch it like an old-timey huckster side-of-the-road salesman. And it's a really fun game. I highly recommend. It is flat out my favorite like card tabletop game. No competition.
And a great way to make that game even better for your improv is pick a character or a voice you like to do.
It's really fun.
It's a really great way to find a voice you like and maintain it. And even try to, because there's going to be laughing fits. trying to keep your cool with that voice. That's really hard to do sometimes, is if there's a lot of crazy stuff happening, maintaining that voice and that sound. So yeah, those are just some suggestions on how to improve your improv if by chance you just don't have the budget to go to classes, or they're too far, just don't work with your schedule, whatever it may be. This is a great place to start.
There's like 3 core rules of improv that I can't remember offhand, except for yes and, which is the one everybody knows. I would say the 2 biggest things you need to know are groupthink, which covers yes and, I think, and also confidence. Confidence is great because you can fake having it and it works the same as actually having it, because no one has confidence and everyone's faking. Fact of life that makes life better. So the thing is about improv, because it is stepping out. It's like you have to be the guy who initiates the scene. And fun fact, when 2 improvisers go out on a stage and you see nothing on a stage, neither do they. They don't know what's gonna happen. One of them will just like stand there and start like, I don't know, flipping through a book. All right, now there's a book. The other one will be like, hey, what you reading over there? That's it. That's all it takes. Just like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm willing to go for it. I see you out there. I see you need to get tagged out. You need someone to cover for you. I'm down for it. So if you're ever in like, this is just a thing you can practice in general. If you don't talk that much in circles, if you're more shy in like public situations, maybe you're at like a party in a circle of like 6 people and like 3 of them have the conversation in lockdown and you're saying nothing, don't be afraid to like push your voice out there. And sometimes that might mean like you hear Will and I, mostly me over him, like being like, I have a thing I want to say, which is like, yeah, and then, okay, yeah, go ahead, like that sort of thing. That's the worst that can happen. Sometimes you do have to force yourself with like I want to say this thing. All right, so here's the thing I'm saying anyway. And, make eye contact, project, that sort of thing. Confidence is really important. Also, groupthink. A big part of improv, and also a big part of, like, 85% of tabletops, which people don't realize when they're like, tabletops look really fun on shows, I'm gonna play one, why does it suck, is the group dynamic.
Yep.
I don't understand when people are like, hey, I'm gonna play a game with strangers just because I know we all want to play it. Do you know what kind of dice you're gambling with there? What are you doing? You can't just do that with strangers. That could be terrible. That could be any Joe Schmo off the street.
Because you have no idea what boundaries they are gonna push, and if you're not ready for it, ooh, that gets weird real fast.
But yeah, groupthink is really important. The ability to just like bounce off of each other, because like, oh, I feel like they're setting up a joke. Here, I'll give them a softball to like set it up. Yep, that was perfect. I can't think of an example offhand, but I'm sure that like, Will, you and I have done that 10 million times. Okay, here's an example, because I was watching the first episode of Anime Campaign recently. There was a joke that a bunch of people in this backwater town, their job was watching this well. They were well watchers. And that was a running joke that mostly Will was doing all the beats of. And there was this bit where he did escalation, which is another... God, I'm realizing there's so much I can talk about with this sub thing. I need to get off of it after this. There's like a beat escalation in this joke where it kept getting bigger and bigger. And obviously you want to keep feeding into that because it's funny. So Will's being this guy who's like, I'm a whale watcher. And then the character I was playing, that character jumped into the well. So my character walked over and was like, I guess I'll be the whale watcher now. And Will was like, great, I'm going to keep escalating that. Another guy falls over. Guess I've been promoted to sky watcher. Which like, it's that level of simplicity, but that's what yes-anding is. It's, yes, this is like both of us are aware. This is a small universe where well watching is a thing. Also, watching your weight is important in improv. I always feel bad about this when I'm editing these down for the video. I have a lot more weight in these videos than Will does because I talk more than he does. So that's a problem I have in everything. That's why I like GMing, to be honest.
Hey man, it's cool.
If you've been talking a lot, especially if you haven't been getting a lot of reactions, then maybe give someone else a turn, because sometimes people are shy and they need that push. I think it's time. We have 2 questions. I'm going to read them out here. How much freedom are VAs typically allowed to experiment with in the portrayal of their characters?
Depending on how long you've been recording with that director, and more importantly for that character, normally a lot. Maybe not a lot, but you get a pretty hefty amount.
You'll find that once, especially if the writer has like had some time to see you as the character, No matter how good you are, their perception of the character in their head the first time they write it versus the first time they see it with an actor behind it will be a little different, and they will start tweaking it to you. So after a little while, you might be able to add different stuff. And I remember seeing an interview with John H. Benjamin, the guy who voices Archer and Bob in Bob's Burgers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And someone asked him, you're really good at improv. You were in that show, Home Movies on Adult Swim, which was heavily improvised. What do you, what's the rule for that in the booth? And he was like, oh, for Bob's Burgers, we're very much allowed to improvise, whatever. So, if you've never seen that, everyone in the family except Luis is voiced by a man, even though 3 of them are female. And the mom, Linda, I remember seeing a thing behind the scenes. I don't remember the name of Linda's actor. But he kept doing this bit where he would just start singing little ditties, and eventually that became a big part of Linda's character, where she'd be like, all right, and then she just starts singing a bit that did not sound great, but the confidence made it really funny, and it always fit, and now that's just a thing she does. So that's something where over a long time your character would morph a little bit more into you. But if it is your first time with the character, or especially with the first time with the director, probably you don't get that much push, but you can, again, ask questions like, hey, can I try this take? Hey, can I do this?
Yeah.
I recently did a voice for an audio drama, and it's told in, if you've ever seen Durarara, there's these segments where the characters are talking to each other through private messaging. And it's told through that. It's told through a screenplay style format on message boards. And my character uses a lot of emoticons, and I was like, ooh, hey, can I do this thing that I do whenever I'm reading terrible fan fictions and stuff, where you get to, do a goofy voice or a sound anytime there's, a little emoticon there. And he was like, oh, yeah, that, I was kind of hoping you would do something like that. And we really pushed. He's like, this is great. Totally ham this up every time this happens. So, and I had worked with that director one time before that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times where the writer may write something down for the character, and they have a very good idea of the hopes and dreams and all that, just because they made the character. But because you are acting as that character, you're getting into their shoes, and you have a different connection that the writer doesn't. And between the two of you, you can make that character so much better, because you can bring up things and say, hey, I've been doing this for a while now, and I'm feeling, I don't think he'd be, so angry. I think he's more sad here. And the writer might go, oh shit, you're right. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense based on events and things. Yeah, no, let's do that instead.
I know you're just doing an example bit, but I love yeah, based on events and things. That sounds like an alien trying to be a human.
Adjust mask. Yeah, no, sounds great, Travis.
Based on the words out of your face mouth. Yeah, yes, good, yes, very yes. Event.
Yes, you make good noises from your head anus.
Winks left eye anus.
Winks left head.
Winks left head. Yes, I always keep a volleyball on my right shoulder that is not a second head with paint on it. And here I was worried we wouldn't have anything to put on the thumbnail this episode.
The two-headed alien director.
So, I mentioned Bob's Burgers earlier. The reason for that is, John Benjamin was talking about, it's like, hey, in Bob's Burgers, we're allowed to improvise a lot. In Archer, we are not at all. That is and it makes sense, because that show is it's much less casual. The dialogue is really snappy. It all feeds into each other. So there's no room to go off of it. I think he mentioned a few times that's yeah, there's a really rare occurrence where we get to change a word or change something, but it's so tight in the writing that we generally can't. So it is project based.
Interesting. I would have hearing that now, it makes a lot of sense, but I really would have thought Archer would have had a little more improv.
No, it's just really well written.
Oh, wow. Nice work.
All right. So the last question that we have today is, what do you do if the person running the project isn't great at directing? And this is more in an amateur circle, because again, we mentioned this in the first episode. Sometimes you're working with an animator who they're not a director. Directing's hard. That's a different skill set they don't have. They don't know what a good acting thing really sounds like, and they definitely don't know how to coax it out of you. This can happen sometimes. This is easier to deal with the longer you work with work in the field because you're better at self-directing again. Like, all right, I should probably like once you get better instincts, just like, okay, this is how this line should be read or moded. Generally what I do when I get the sense that a director is super inexperienced or doesn't really know what to ask for other than, I would like my character to sound good because I want them to be good. And I don't know how to ask you to do that specifically if you're doing it wrong. What I generally do is, hey, director, I don't have full confidence in, to be honest, which never say that ever, never even let on. I am going to, I see this line. If I'm a little confused, I'll ask for context, because you do know that better than I do. I'm going to do 3 takes here, all a little different. Tell me which one you like, or if that's fine, and then we'll move on. That's usually what I do. You try and, like, subtly take over the direction process. This is, by the way, again, this is if they are not a director, period. Which does happen a lot. With my experience, it is mostly animators. So you kind of want to take that out of their hands. Maybe like kind of angle it so your favorite takes are the one, like the ones you're really confident, like that's the best take, and maybe they won't know that. If you've got like 3 takes, you're sending them through email. Put the best one first. Maybe even delete ones you're like, I don't even want that to be an option for him to pick, because he might. Also, make sure you've done the good sound editing on your side, because oh my god, do animators not know how to do sound work at all, or balancing. So make sure you're loud enough to be heard and not peaking or anything, because they will not fix any of that. The other thing is, if this is a long-standing project, I almost always prefer live direction, but either just from the plain fact I don't really jive that well with a certain director, maybe even they're good at it, they just don't direct in a way that I respond to especially well, and that's on me. Or sometimes they do, just generally I'm like, I don't like working with you, period. I think you slow me down, which happens. I'm going to be honest. If it's a long-term project with multiple episodes, the thing I've done is like, yeah, okay, I got the character voice. Thanks a bunch. I'm just going to do this solo from now on. Cause you helped me get that foundation and that's what I needed. Like, they're not going to be like, no. I mean, maybe they would if they're smart, but, that doesn't usually happen if they're not a good director.
Yeah, normally they're so mousy and not really, comfortable with the situation that they're not going to be giving out those very strict orders. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't fret. Oh, and
that's another thing. If they are a little mousy, because like they might, especially if they've never done direction before, they might be just as nervous as you are the first time you're acting. The thing is, you will have to instill that session with confidence and still it with light, because sometimes it'll be like, all right, here are my takes. Take, weak take, weak take. What do you think? Yeah, that's good. And maybe it's because they don't know how to say that wasn't very good and I need something else, or maybe they genuinely can't really tell what they need. You will have to kind of be in charge and be like, yeah, do you mind if I do another one? Like, it's totally cool, by the way. Just tell me if I ever need to do anything else. Tell me if you want anything else from me. I don't take any offense. Just go for it. Will, I know you're super nervous, especially you told me you're very nervous when you meet new people, especially like the first time we recorded together. I think we were both super nervous because we'd pretty much never done that before.
Yeah.
But I try and project you a little bit whenever I'm working with new people, because you seem so friendly and confident and like, yeah, can I do anything else for you? Like, I always try and fake that a little bit as my persona whenever I'm working with someone new, to be honest. I'm always pluckier and nicer than I really am.
Thank you. Thank you. And honestly, I've gotten that from my current job, and I'm thankful I've learned this skill, is I have to meet new people all the time now. And I've found that you just get a better reaction and you just get better sound from people if you are just I don't want to say overly friendly, but like plucky and maybe even a little quirky. Mm-hmm. Because the reason why is I like to come off as very professional, but then I like to make jabs and jokes at myself. Like for example, when I'm recording with someone who's very nervous, I'm like, you know what? Let's read through that again one more time because I'm a jerk. And normally their response will be yes. And then they'll go, oh my God, no, it's not because you're a jerk. And I'm like, nope, that's fine. But then it like lightens them up and they chuckle and they realize, okay, he's fine with these mistakes. He's fine with being a little goofy. And that helps them get out of their shell and do what I need, which is to go 100%, 110%, whatever percentage I need. Because there's a lot of times when I get people to come in and record and they're like, Hello, I'm David. I work at the auto shop down the road. And even that's too much energy and personality.
Hello, I'm David. I have one head, and this is my friend who is standing directly behind me but leaning their head out to the right. So do not question.
We are roommates in this pull-up shirt.
Yeah, but like making recording sessions more casual and friendly is very important. I think both as an actor and a director. I've never worked with anyone who's like a hard ass that I can remember, at least. I think I'd be able to if I had.
Yeah.
But like I very frequently work with people who are especially nervous, especially now that like for some reason if I ever get like a new voice actor, they're like, "Whoa, you're Jello Apocalypse." I'm like, trust me, that's not even a little bit a big deal at all. So
It is more impressive to meet Mall Santa.
not wrong. We're winding down the episode, so now it's time we thank those fabulous people who support us on Patreon. You too can support us and make shows like this possible, because without your support, it totally wouldn't be. Thank you guys so much. Especially a big thank you to our top 10 donors this month: the Squirrel Queen,
Red Bro,
the Luckiest Gravy,
James Mulvey,
Austin J. Doobie,
Cod of Wisdom,
Eric Osgood,
The White Boardist,
Lily Bugs,
and our top donor, Nick.
Yeah, thank you guys all so much. It means the world to be able to keep doing dumb stuff like this. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can just go to patreon.com/JelloApocalypse. You get like early previews of all our big videos, and also a heads up when we do any more tip of the tongue, etc., etc. You can also comment there, and we'll be very sure to see any questions you have. And if you do have questions, please send them on down to our Twitter, which is @welcome2tweet, welcome the number 2 tweet. That's the best place to do it, honestly, or YouTube comments, or you can send them to my Tumblr, which is also just Jello Apocalypse. So thank you guys so much, and I believe that is the episode.
Toodles!